Are you ready? It's the Roundtable with me, Robert Bannon. Well, we are talking about Pride and we are talking about things that you need to go and see. I was at the opening of Walking with Bubbles, and then Kevin Smith Kirkwood walked in, and I said, I know you. I know your work. I know what he does with Whitney. I know what he's done on Broadway. I know what he does on tours. I know what he's going to do at Joe's Pub and tear the place down. Kevin Smith Kirkwood is here. Welcome. Let's go.
Thank you so much for having me. What's up? What's up? How you doing?
I'm doing wonderful. I'm so excited to talk to you. I want to talk about June. I want to talk about Joe's Pub. I want to get right to the thick of it. KSK on the BQE is coming on June, in the end of June. You got to get your tickets because there's not that many left because people know what goes on.
It is going well, which I am very, very excited about because it's my my newest solo show in several years because I've been focusing on Whitney and Broadway, and so I've just been really inspired by this show and all the Black queer artists that I'm going to celebrate, whose shoulders I stand on, and so it's going to be a party though for sure. Yeah.
Well, I already can sense the party because you're talking about a set list. It says on the press release and on there, Ma Rainey to Lil Nas X, Little Richard, Frank Ocean, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. How did you come up with the set list for the show? And what is the theme or what do you want us to leave feeling like once we come and see you?
Well, I'm cheekily calling it KSK on the BQE, which of course is the New York City reference. But and it's a Black queer experience. And I started to think about the journey that I've been on with celebrating all the parts of myself, my Blackness and my queerness, and all of its power. And I started to think about all of the artists throughout history whose shoulders I stand on, who have been out and pushing boundaries and living authentically and putting that into their music and their art. And I just realized how much they inspired me throughout my life to live my truth and be who I am as an artist. And so I just figured out for Pride, I wanted to celebrate Black queer experience and the musicians and the music that they've contributed to the culture. You know what I mean? And it's for all of us to recognize the contribution specifically of these queer Black artists. I just thought was so powerful, and so I'm inspired.
It is so powerful, and it's also going to be a lot of fun.
I mean, when you think about the set list, you can't have, Little Richard and Sylvester and Prince and Grace Jones and Janelle Monáe and not it be fun,
It is going to be a fun. And what I know about this will be my first Kevin Smith Kirkwood experience other than looking at what you've done on YouTube and your clips on social media, etc. You throw a party. Like, this is not just park and bark and take a nap. You throw a party.
I mean, listen, if I'm in a show and I have to park and bark, I can. But if you're coming to see my show, no. I move, I dance, I'm a high energy performer. And I love to give energy to the audience, and then the audience gives it back to you. We have a 5-piece band. We're going to have 2 amazing featured backup singers. We're going to have a special guest, Jason Williams. It's definitely going to be a fun time.
Well, Jason Williams is no stranger to singing his face off and all of the arrangements and work and choirs and choruses and things that he does. So then you put all this together with your band and your singers and you have a full blown experience. You could go to publictheater.org. Joe's Pub is the coolest, hottest spot. I'm going to get in trouble for saying that because my show's at 54 Below. But besides,
wonderful. It's wonderful. I just directed a show there. It's a wonderful venue.
But I love Joe's Pub because that's where all the cool kids go. So if you want to go to publictheater.org, go to Joe's Pub. It's the neatest. It's such an amazing space. There's not a bad seat in the house.
Well, Joe's Pub has also been around a little bit longer. Well, longer, period, than 54 Below. So, it explains the reputation, and yes.
Yeah, well, it's legendary.
I'm very happy to be there and call it home. It's been home for my Whitney show since 2015. And they are very supportive of me as an artist, and they're very supportive of the artists that they bring. So Joe's Pub, let's not be shy to say it is a premier place to
It's the
be in New York City.
hands down, absolutely, 100%. So let's look, Kevin Smith Kirkwood. Your work. You come from musical theater world. You come from Broadway. You come from tours. You come from Spelling Bee. You come from the Kinky Boots of it all, and you are on the road, and you're on Broadway doing 8 shows a week, and put it on the whole get up and the makeup and the whole shebang. And then at what point do you decide, hey, I want to start producing and creating my own original content? I want to start putting on concerts that are myself. I'm not waiting for a producer or a casting director to put me somewhere. And you started to build this whole hustle that you have.
That's a great question. And it's layered. It's really that I learned early on as a skinny, black, queer, tall guy who sang high that I was going to have to make work for myself. And so along the way, I've just always done that. Classic Whitney is my fourth New York City solo show over the years. Done that at the Duplex and Roses Turn, the Laurie Beachman Theater. My friends and I from college produced 2 shows, one off and one off Broadway. One was called It's Karate Kid the Musical, that won the New York IT Award for Best Musical, and I was nominated for playing Mr. Miyagi in a queer version of It's Karate Kid the Musical, if that says it. And then we also then a few years later produced a blaxploitation style Broadway musical that was all original music that I co-wrote, that was called Dial In for Negress. And the idea was, what if Prince, a character like Prince, ambiguous, androgynous, was the lead of a movie like Shaft, as
Okay.
opposed to the masculine archetype that existed in these blaxploitation films. So when I was doing Kinky Boots, which I loved, and it was a great experience and a wonderful job, and I think by 2 years into it, I had done the reading and the workshop and the out of town, and then was on Broadway for 2 years. I think I just started to feel as an artist that I wanted to create something else, to also stay artistically fulfilled. And my best friend, Natalie Joy Johnson, said, "You had this at Whitney idea, just do it now. What are you waiting for?" And I said, "You're right." And we thought it would be a one-off. And here we are, like 7 years later, I guess. So
And
I've always known that I had to create my own work.
I was gagged by, and I told this to you in the lobby of the theater, that this is not a lip syncing Whitney show. Your shows you're not lip syncing. You're not like playing to track. You're singing.
Yes, belting too.
Belting.
Belting.
And
Not
then
this nasal mix. This is
you were so modest because you said, well, some of the keys are the live keys, or they're the keys they're not like 1984 key on the Kevin, it doesn't matter. I don't care if it was Russia in 2010. I want, it doesn't matter. You are singing the Whitney keys, her repertoire, live for an audience. And then you thought it was going to be once? No, this is going to go on as long as you want it to.
wow, thank you for that. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. It's and thank you for that. And I'll take it, because it's just, I'm humble, because you have to be humble to say that you're going to step on stage and play Whitney Houston. And so I know that there will never be another Whitney. I don't claim to be Whitney or sound like Whitney. I'm giving you Whitney through my body and my gifts, which is why she's reincarnated in my body and so I appreciate, though, when people say that my vocals are enough to give the essence of Whitney, and I don't take that for granted. So thank you.
Well, I'm ready to see you be Kevin Smith Kirkwood and do KSK on the BQE, which is such a brilliant name. The BQE thing is so brilliant. Come on. But as a Whitney Nista and Nippy fanatic growing up here in Fort Lee, New Jersey, I was so drawn by that, and that's what when I saw you, I instantly knew, because I had so many friends who have said you need to see Kevin's voice, you need to hear Kevin's voice, you need to hear Kevin's voice, and the look and the aesthetic of it all. But what I love about it, which I think you have a dog named after her, if I'm stalking you on the social media,
A
is that
cat.
a
Yes.
okay?
Yes.
I
She
love.
might make an appearance somewhere around here.
There's not a better name in the world for a cat than Nippy, and it's its own double entendre. I want I just know that the live arrangements are what's when you listen to Whitney, the live arrangements are fun because Ricky Minor and the band and the singers through those years, those arrangements slap, slap, slap. And when I saw what you do there, you bring the energy and the joy and the fun of some of those arrangements on stage. So what are you going to do to Lil Nas X and Prince and Sylvester and Ma Rainey and Little Richard? How do you work on an arrangement? Are you very hands-on about the way it sounds?
Oh, absolutely 100% hands-on, which is why I'm grateful for my musical director and longtime collaborator of Whitney, who's musical directing this show, Drew Wutke, who's amazing. And we have a shorthand at this point because we've worked together. And so I am very hands-on with the arrangements. And with this show, I definitely want to pay tribute to the artists, but also give it my KSK spin. And it's about showing how they inspired me as an artist. And so, for instance, we're turning Luther Vandross's If Only for One Night, which, if you listen to the lyrics, is really about a closeted queer longing between two guys. And so I'm going to turn it into the queer love duet that might have been able to happen in 2023. And Jason is going to come out. And Jason has vocally arranged the vocal arrangement for that. And we're going to make that a thing. We're doing so I definitely be putting my KSK touch on, for instance, Purple Rain. We're doing an arrangement of that. And so I'm very hands-on. I'm also a musician. I was a saxophone player from third grade through college. So I'm definitely hands-on with the arrangements, and I have a great collaborator.
My question to you, and I have this question for myself. I have the chutzpah, for politically correct word, to sing songs that I sometimes know are immortal. And Whitney and Prince and Little Rich, like some of they were talking about immortal people. If we were like judges on American Idol, we would say, don't even try to sing these people's songs. Where do where do you get the chutzpah to sing a song like Purple Rain and change it? And I'm here, I live for it. Is it intimidating sometimes when you come up with the idea, or someone says, sing I Will Always Love You, sing Purple Rain, sing Luther Vandross, and do you just say, yeah, screw it, I'm gonna sing it? I do, and I
I
should.
definitely do. I definitely do. I've always loved a challenge as an artist. I think if I didn't have, I'm humble about it, but I also think if I didn't have an underlying chutzpah and belief in myself, there's no way I could gotten on stage ever and
Right.
tried to sing a Whitney, tune. And so I think there's a balance of owning your power and also accepting your flaws in humanity and that you're not perfect. And so I can't be afraid. And if I am, I take that fear and turn it into inspiration and energy. I'm actually excited for the challenge. But you're right; it's a real thing to think
Well,
about.
yeah, but I've heard your voice, so you don't have to worry. You've got this in the bag. Don't even don't even worry. And where do you get because fashion is such a part, and a look is such a part of your brand and your experience. So how do you bring the visual elements to a stage show at Joe's Pub? What you wear, the way that the lighting hits, or how you build a set list. Can you give us a little insight? What's your process to give us all the sensory and feels of an evening at your show?
That's a great question because yes, when you do a show, you have to give a visual element or visual elements, and what you wear and how you present yourself matters. So I already have two outfits. There will be a costume change. I'm trying to, and because I'm celebrating for instance, the masculine and the feminine parts of my personality. I have an outfit that is more inspired by Grace Jones and Prince and Sylvester. And then I also have an outfit that is more inspired by, a Luther Vandross and that sort of a situation. And I think about colors. And so I mean, without giving too much away, it's not. But like Janelle Monáe, we're opening with a medley of Grace Jones, Pull Up to My Bumper, into Queen by Janelle Monáe. And Janelle Monáe had a motif of black and white, which goes, so we're gonna use that as a color palette for this show. But for this one, I like things that move. And I think about how they move and how I can move in them, because I'm also a dancer. So I do move around and dance a lot on stage. I'm also thinking of other visual aspects that I'm adding into the show. My other part of my major was art history. And I'm thinking about all the Black queer artists from the Harlem Renaissance, for instance. And so I'm bringing in some Langston Hughes and James Baldwin, but also thinking about Black queer visual artists and painters who have not gotten their due throughout art history, and definitely don't in today's business. And I have a beautiful friend. His name is Thomas Ivan Harmon, and he's a brilliant artist. And so we're going to showcase some of his work throughout the show to accent some of the themes and just recognizing how important the visual aspect is of putting on a show.
Well, this is a fully immersive, thought out experience done from beginning to end, from the clothes to the lights to the art to the songs to the whole playlist. And just before I let you go, firstly, I have a question. But if you want to follow Kevin Smith Kirkwood on Instagram to stay on top of all the things and the shows and when it will be up and about. And again, you can go to publictheater.org and you go to the calendar and it's right there. Grab your tickets before there are none. So get them quick. It's a great way to celebrate pride and music and fun and joy. There's a lot of heaviness about especially pride this year, laws, the world that we're living in, attacks on trans rights and drag rights and people rights in general, human rights. Why is it more important than ever to gather, celebrate in a joyous protest, which is what we all are doing in Pride this year more than ever? Why do we need to be out in strong numbers more than ever before?
Because of exactly the way you just phrased it. It's important to combat that hate and ignorance with joy, a celebration of how far we've come, of family, community, togetherness, and that's how we respond, with love and art and joy. And so, Billy Porter says the change has already happened, and that's what they're reacting to. And so we just have to keep living our truths and living as our authentic selves, and expressing the pride and joy that we have in our community. And I think that's just the best thing to do. That's the best use of our time. And then we're putting love and joy and good energy into the world. And period.
That's what you do. That's what you do.
As an artist, that's what I try to do, really.
You
and as a person in my life, I truly live that way. I truly think about the energy that I put into the world, and the more love that is included in that, no matter how much hate and backlash we get from that, the best response is still love and joy and celebration. And so let's come out for Pride and say, no, we're here, we're living, and we're thriving, and we're together, and if we're all here, we still have things to do. So
and we do. And we do. Well, I'm going to be there. I'm going to have a basket of French fries and a drink, and I'm going to be ready to clap and snap and cheer and dance and party with you right there at Joe's Pub. I'm so excited. I'm not missing a show ever. Kevin Smith Kirkwood, I'm not missing a show. When you raise up the Whitney show again, I need to be there. When you have your solo shows like this, I need to be there, because I just love your energy is infectious. It makes me smile. So I'm here for it.
You're the best. Thank you for having me. And we'll be back later this summer for her birthday. So
Oh,
have we'll
August? Come on, August. I'm ready. August 9th, baby.
ah, ah, that's a
Go.
true Whitney fan. Come on. It's exactly August 9th. Yes, it is August 9th.
August 9th. August 9th. I'm here. I know it. I'm
Respect.
thank you. Thank you. Everyone go see Kevin Smith Kirkwood, KSK on the BQE. It's coming June, the end of June. Make sure you grab your tickets today. Thank you so much, Kevin.
Oh, pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Well, I had the chance to hear this next guest's album, and it's really beautiful. It is really beautifully done, and it is as timely and as prevalent and relevant as ever. That's right, Mookie's Big Gay mixtape. You could stream it. Make sure you stream it wherever music is streamed. And the single, the lead single. I mean, is there a more appropriate time? We're gonna get into the whole. We'll get into the whole thing. Mike Maimone is here. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Robert.
It's a pleasure. Congratulations on this project.
Yeah, I'm excited. It's been a minute since I put out some music, so it's or at least a full-length album, so it's nice to have it out there.
Absolutely. And I am excited for people to hear. You could stream it wherever you listen to music right now and make sure you stream it. And you've been singing. When did you realize that you wanted to sing and that it was something that you felt the need to do or that you were called to do?
Yeah, that's an interesting question because I started out playing keys and writing songs in other bands, and they just kept breaking up. And I kind of realized if I wanted longevity in this, I needed to sing my own songs. So I was sort of an unwilling entrant into the singing realm. And but then I like a puppy growing into my paws, I just started to realize like this is what I have and kind of lean into the grittiness and um just yeah, I started really loving it and loving performing and kind of grew into it. I'd say that was probably like 2007, 2008.
Yeah, and then the rest is history with albums and streams and singles that are out. And this album, and I mean, anyone who does something like this is our kind of people here on this show because this was come on, Whitney Houston. I am in Jersey, so Queen Miss Houston is all about Jersey here. So I get you.
Yeah,
I get your
you
whole
found
vibe.
it.
I'm here for the whole thing. So this album, I know it's very personal, and I know that your lead single, I mean, the timing of it all is a cover
Yeah,
of Simply the Best by Tina Turner. And it's so raw and it's so real, and it's a stripped down version of the song, and your vocals are just achingly beautiful in it.
thank you.
Um, tell us a little bit about the project and tell us a little bit about what can we expect when we listen.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity to share this story. So I moved to Nashville in 2020 and was sort of like, I'll just kind of put my music on the back burner and try to do co-writing and maybe get some piano session gigs. But I just started putting out singles every few months and didn't really think too much about doing albums anymore, which I've always been an album artist. So then Howard Bragman came along, my husband, eventually, and he was kind of like, quit with that other stuff. Like, focus on your music. Like, you have a unique voice, um, and he really encouraged me to kind of refocus in and double down on my own artist project rather than trying to write for other people. And one of the things I played in my version of the best, and it was after Schitt's Creek came out, and I was like, oh, I want to do that, and I kind of came up with my own version, and he loved it, and he made me do a recording of it, and he was showing it to all of his friends, and I didn't really think too much of it. And then when it came time to make this album, I called it a mixtape because it's the singles that I had put out plus a bunch of new songs and some interludes and some instrumental tracks. I actually like got a physical tape player and I wanted to make it feel like a mixtape from back in the day,
Yeah.
you know?
Yes.
So there's all that kind of stuff. And he's like, well, what about the best? I was like, oh, I don't know. Like it feels like a Schitt's Creek ripoff. And but he was like, no, like it's your own thing, like do it. So I did another recording of it and I put it on there and he he got cancer. He was diagnosed in early February and that was like right when I was wrapping up the album. So I was able to play it for him in the hospital, and he gave me the thumbs up. He said he loved it. We had a moment, we were crying together, and he passed away. So when I went to put out the album, I thought this would be a great tribute to make this like the lead track for him. And I actually he requested that I play it at his memorial, which was really an incredible thing. And so it's just a nice way to pay tribute to my husband.
Absolutely. If you don't know Howard Bragman, television, law, like had a very big career, and you know the work that he did, and I know that you went through such a tough year, and then to share this with us, you're going to heal a lot of people, Mike. I mean, a lot of people need to hear. They have their own stories, especially what we've just come out of. How did you
Yeah.
get the strength to share this story? Or how do you get the strength to share such vulnerability with everyone?
I think in the nature of what Howard did was if you don't know, he was a publicist that helped queer individuals come out. And whether it was um, somebody who was being outed, like in the tabloids, and he started in '89, so he was like right in the thick of things with AIDS awareness and marriage equality, and just doing a lot for visibility for our community. And some people I think more recently have sort of intentionally been coming out and writing their books and their memoirs, and so he helps guide that process. But really, a lot of the most important stuff was a tabloid would see somebody holding hands in public and be like, "Oh, we're going to out this person," and they would call Howard. They called him the gay guru, and he would come in and kind of help guide them. And so that just inherent in who he was and what he stood for makes me want to like share his story and talk about him and keep his legacy going and try to embody that. And just visibility for a community is so important, and the more people know that they know queer people, the more we'll continue to get fair rights and everything that we need. So
I can't say it better than that. You know, in this time with 400 plus laws that are tried to be passed in this country against the queer community, you come out and stand very proud in your who you are and what you are and how you love and all of that. Have you ever felt the fear yourself about sharing so much about your personal life? Is it ever anything, or you just feel like this is it? This is what you get?
yeah, I mean, I was so far in the closet that I didn't even realize what I was when I was growing up. I think I had this kind of self-preservation instinct as like a young athlete. Like I played football and basketball, and um, especially kind of in the '90s and 2000s, it was just like so far from my mind to be out. Like even at first, I think I didn't see myself represented in media, and so I was very confused. I didn't know what exactly this was. I mean, I love Will and Grace like so much, but that was literally the only access I had as a young kid in Ashtabula, Ohio, to what gay was. And I was like, well, I don't think that's me. So what am I? But I do like, I'm really attracted to Magnum PI, I think.
It's the shirt.
Like,
There's the shirt right there.
oh my God, I didn't even plan that. Yeah, so it's like I kind of knew, but I didn't know. So I think that at first coming out, yes, was terrifying. It was really difficult growing up Catholic. I didn't know how my family would respond. Um, and it was tough at first, but they came around and yeah, it's just now it's like if I turn the album art into a coffee mug.
I love it. I saw it before. I love it. And if you want, here it is
Yeah,
as well. Love it. Love
I
it. Love
named
it. Love it.
I named the bear Howard.
I,
Because it's like he to me and to so many other people, he just like it's like having this giant fearless protector, having Howard in your life. So I thought like that's my bear that I'm riding into just being open and free and authentic.
when you put together, I love albums because they kind of tell a story, and it's not just everything is now is just a single and a single, but there's kind of an arc and a story. And as you said, like I'm from an age and stage where you would record a mixtape off the radio and try to not catch the commercial and all of that. When you put this together, you have
Right.
you have covers and originals and pieces. And how do you create your music? How do you, is it something that you hear on the radio? Do you write any music? What is your process to coming up with what you're going to put out?
For me, I think the best songs are lyrics first, and
Mhm.
it's usually when I'm doing something else, like walking a dog, driving, showering, when you're not focusing on it. And an idea will come, and then you sort of like massage it and turn it into lyrics. And then typically I'll write the songs around that. And that's not always how it happens, but to me, those are the ones that really last and the ones I like singing on stage the most. But with this one, yeah, I wanted to get back as soon as I thought mixtape, I'm like, well, I'm not just gonna call it a mixtape. Like it's gonna feel like a mixtape. So yeah, I didn't have a tape player anymore, so I went and got like a little crappy one on Amazon.
Yes.
And I recorded some interlude tracks, and then I recorded them onto tape and then back into Pro Tools, so it would get this like tape feel.
Right. Okay.
And then I would kind of manipulate it, like when you're dubbing, it wouldn't be perfect. You kind of get a start and a stop of a song, or so I wanted to intentionally include that. And then sometimes I think if you were making a mixtape for somebody, you could use the little microphone on your boombox. So I
Yeah.
wanted to put little messages in there. So I really had fun kind of putting it together from that standpoint.
Well, it's really beautiful from beginning to end, and I listened to it the other day while I was at the gym, and what I thought of is it's not an album for just the queer community. It's really an album for anyone. It speaks to a lot of universal themes, and anyone listening right now, you can definitely mine some gold out of this. What do you hope when people listen through it from the beginning to the end is the overall theme, or is there a message that you want people to take away from when they listen?
I think it's sort of the reason I got into being on stage, and it's just connecting and letting people know that whatever emotions you're feeling, someone else feels that.
Mm,
And I think when I moved to Nashville and I started trying to do co-writing and a little more focus on syncs and like writing for TV and film. And the thing I would get over and over again is your lyrics need to be more universal because that's how people relate. And I was like, I don't know. And then I would write something and that I thought was like a universal, like I think what they mean is just more general. So like your lyrics are this sort of like big bowl that anybody can kind of put their own meaning into.
okay.
And I just couldn't do it. And what I wanted to do then after feeling like I failed at that whole segment of my life was like just be hyper specific. And like this is my experience, and I don't think I'm that unique. I think a lot of people share these same experiences. And I also think people are smart enough to say, like, well, this is what Mike went through. And it's not literally what I went through, but I can identify with that. And so I hope that people latch on to that specificity and they're like, oh, he's really bearing his soul here. Now, like, I can connect that to things that I've done in my life.
I think that's what art is all about, right? We see that reflection, and I think that you're doing it so well. I appreciate love songs and a love story about queer characters or real life people because representation matters so much in this. As you were saying, like Will and Grace is the only thing that you knew growing up that you could equate it to, but now people can listen to your music or hear your story and they feel seen and validated, and that is so powerful, Mike. It's such a powerful thing that you're doing.
Thanks, Robert.
I'm
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and I think that the including the pronouns like a he love interest, I think was really important to me. And like in the context of like one of the first songs is basically a love story that unfolds in church and sort of the taboo nature of that and kind of having fun with it. Like it's it's kind of a funny idea
Yeah,
to fall in love with somebody in the pew in mass.
absolutely.
Uh yeah, so
Well,
hopefully it,
it's not all just serious. There's a fun, you're gonna wanna clap and sing, and there's a lot of it's a whole range of emotions on this album, and you're gonna have a
yeah.
good time when you listen to it for sure. So, what's next? Are you gonna play live? Are we going on the road? Are we gonna make more music? What are we doing?
Yeah, those are all very deep questions right now because of everything I've just been through. And like I just said in the opening, like I was in therapy this morning and it's just like trying to figure out what feels right now. And just started getting back into booking shows. For anybody who doesn't know the process for an unsigned artist, it's soul sucking. You send millions of emails out and you don't hear back. And I feel like half my soul is gone right now. Not to be too dramatic, but like for real. And so it's like I need all of the soul I can get. So
Oh.
it's hard to want to do that part, but I do want to play. So I just started trying to get back on the horse for booking gigs. Um, and I'm working on a covers album of songs that were really special to Howard and me. I just feel like that's something that I can do kind of immediately while I'm writing the next record. So I have a few done. There's a couple songs that he wanted me to do that I just was like, "Oh, I'll do that later," and I never learned it. So it's sort of therapy for me to do those songs and feel like I'm playing them for him now. So that's gonna come out hopefully pretty soon because I'm already almost done with it.
That's amazing. Well, I listen, I hear about the soul-sucking life of a artist on the hustle and the emails and the pitches and the grind, and, I wanna us everyone to follow Mike Maimone Music on Instagram so we can stay up to date if he has new music out, if he's coming to your neck of the woods, and whatever's to come in the future so that we can show and love and support on
Mhm.
your amazing journey. And then we're gonna
Thanks for
stream
that.
Mookie's Big Gay Mixtape right now. I mean, it's what a way to honor, Tina Turner, especially also this past week, is and listen to.
I know it's so sad, and the timing is really insane. That's just like a very sad thing that we lost her.
Sure. So we're gonna listen to your version of it, and we're gonna dedicate it to Howard, to her, to everyone out there in the struggle that's out here fighting the fight to be authentic and accepted and loved for who they are. And we're gonna have celebrate Pride this season more than ever, because we all need it. We all need to have some fun and some love and feel uh, accepted, and that's what your music is doing for sure.
Right
Um,
on. Absolutely.
I
Thanks for
wish
that.
you nothing but the best. I want you to be, sending you love and light and lots of good wishes and prayers to you and all that you've been through and turning it into something that we can all benefit from. It's really a gift. So thank you.
Thank you, Robert. Thanks for having me. I really, really appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Mike.